Okay. First order of business is salute the flag. Vish, you want to lead us?
Oh, we have a different. It's a new screen. Oh my goodness, it's not the ball.
All right. Okay. I salute the flag of the United States of America,
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good. Okay, first order of business is public discussion. During public discussion, any member of the public may address the board for up to 3 minutes on any item within the jurisdiction of the district that is not on the current agenda. Members of the public may also address the board for up to 3 minutes on the agenda when we reach the agenda item. When they're considered by the board, again, provided a maximum of 15 minutes per meeting for each member of the public. So.
You want to speak? Okay.
Okay. Please state your name. Yeah, when you get up to the podium.
My name is David Poster. I believe I'm the oldest one here.
Now that Pat has left.
And I'm very much concerned about any possible or inevitable disasters. For example, an earthquake is the main one, of course. But another one almost, or maybe even more likely sooner, would be a refinery accident, for which they are presenting us with they are considering some ways of reducing or ameliorating the effects of a serious accident. And our group, the TRAA, is trying to support the board, which the South Bay Air Quality Board, which is the regulating body for the refineries, which is proposing a new rule to make it safer by changing the very dangerous process that they use. They use hydrofluoric acid, which you may remember from high school is the acid you cannot put in glass. And that's what they are using, as opposed to what all the other refineries are using, sulfuric acid, which has its own dangers, but like 90% or 99% less dangerous than hydrofluoric acid. The companies say that they have a method of reducing the danger by diluting it. And their dilution didn't work, and they won't admit it. They claim that they're diluting it the proposed 6 or 8%, which is supposed to make it 80% safer. In actuality, they won't admit that they are diluting it much more, and it's still not making it safer. And we have a scientific board of ours, including more than several doctors of different scientific fields, all related to chemistry and this hazard. And I am in the process for the last year of collecting petition signatures, which is just about our only way of impressing the board to proceed with that new rule, which the companies are spending a high percentage of the money they would have to spend to change over. Rather than changing over, they're spending money. The City of Torrance will not help to enforce any more safety on them because they're the largest single taxpayer in the City of Torrance. So I have been instrumental. We have letters from the 3 beach cities. Carson, I spoke before the Torrance City Council, but we could not get them to vote to sign on to the letter supporting our proposal and the board's proposal. And the board is split. We have some votes on the board for the original proposal, and others that are opposing it and willing to accept
Just,
the refineries, but we need to have the district have a disaster plan,
Yeah.
which emphasizes that high risk, which is complicated by an earthquake.
Well, one thing is I don't think that's really within the jurisdiction of the board.
The emergency plan?
No, our
No.
disaster, we have a
The
disaster.
refineries, none of the refineries are in the district.
Well, we
No.
did submit a letter to the AQMD supporting all of the beach cities and the other cities in changing the rule, remember?
Yeah.
So we did send a letter on that, and we do have disaster plan, and we have a community disaster, do we still have that committee?
Yeah. Oh, no, I don't think so.
No.
No,
Okay.
the county used to do it, but
Oh,
Megan's,
it's taken over by the county.
Right.
Okay.
Megan's working on
But
it.
we are working on a disaster preparedness plan for the district.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
The next issue is the swearing in of board members.
Okay.
Dr. Bullitt, myself, and Vish.
Come over here, do we have a microphone?
Poor Vanessa and her no voice.
Yeah, let's do it as a group. This is the oath or affirmation of allegiance for public officials and employees. The execution of this oath is required by Article 20, Section 3 of the Constitution of the State of California. Please raise your right hands and repeat after me. I, and state your name,
I, Michelle Bolat,
I, Noelle Chen,
I, Vish Chatterjee,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California,
to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of California,
I knew I was a little longer on that one, that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
That's a tricky one.
And you are now
You
sworn
are
in.
sworn in. Yay.
Yes, you.
What, you want a picture? Okay, I'll take it.
These three first.
It's the same oath, by the way, except for the state of
Same oath that
California.
everybody takes.
Except for the state of California.
And let's go to the full board.
Oh, okay.
Smile like that. Sorry. Great, thank you.
Thank you.
You first.
Oh, because I go farther.
Yes,
Makes sense.
How efficient is that?
I try.
All righty. The next issue is election of officers for the Board of Director President, President Pro Tem, Secretary Treasurer. So,
Okay,
um,
you up for nominations?
yes, so the first office is for the President of the Board.
Okay,
Do I have a nominee?
Yes, you do, Vanessa Poster.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
We need public. They can
Oh,
comment
yeah,
on this.
yeah. Any public discussion? Any board discussion? All in favor?
I
Aye.
All opposed? Seeing none, so ordered. Okay, the next nomination is for
Nope. Now I'm
No,
president.
she's works.
Oh,
Now
sorry.
she's the, hand her the gavel.
Mine now. Okay, so I take nominations now for President Pro Tem.
I nominate Michelle.
No,
What?
Can I nominate someone?
you can. I was just, I
You can.
lost, sorry.
Need a second.
Yeah, so we need a second on that.
I second.
And you want to be President Pro Tem? Okay. Do we have any other nominations? I'd like to nominate Jane. Do I have a second?
I second that.
Okay, so we have two positions. And do we have any public comment? Any further board comment? Have you served as President Pro Tem before?
I've been president.
You've been president?
Once.
Okay.
But you were president too, right?
Yeah, Michelle's been president.
Okay, so we've all rotated through, okay. So I take a vote on the first nomination for Michelle. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Oh, no.
I'll vote aye too.
You vote aye too, okay.
Let's just make it simple.
So we have a President Pro Tem, Michelle. So now I take nominations for the office of,
Let's announce, we should announce the vote on that, though.
oh, the vote on that was 3.
No, I vote.
Oh, so, okay.
Okay. So,
I would like to take the vote again then. Can I do that?
well, I think it's already been voted.
It's already been voted. Okay, so that's 4-1.
Others can join.
Well, I never, well,
She
You didn't
abstained.
vote?
I didn't vote.
She abstained.
Oh, you abstained. So it's 3
Tell everybody.
yes, 1 abstention, and 1 no.
Okay. Let's just record what the votes are for the
Okay.
record, though.
Fish, Michelle, Noel? Yes.
Yes.
Jane abstained. I voted no.
Okay. Very good.
Okay, so now I am taking nominations for treasurer, secretary treasurer.
Fish Chatterjee.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Sure.
Do I have any other nominations for treasurer? Okay. I have a motion and a second on a nomination for treasurer. Is there any public comment? Can you hear me okay? I'm so sorry. Any public comment? Any board comment? All in favor, aye? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, so ordered. Okay.
So it's unanimous.
So that one is unanimous. Okay. Next item on the agenda, CEO report.
Madam Chair, you may want to just double check to see if there's anybody that had.
We've had some public arrive since we had the opportunity for public discussion. So I'm going to open it up again for any public discussion for items not on the agenda. So if you're here to speak on something that's on an agenda, please wait for that. But if you have anything for something that is not on the agenda, this would be the time. Do you want to speak? Okay, so please. And state your name when you get there.
Good evening. My name is Rabbi Gila Katz, and the reason I decided to come up and speak is because Mr. Poster brought up a very important issue, which is safety and community safety. And I would like to suggest to you that as much as any of the organizations like the refinery will tell you that they're prepared, they are not. And that if you have a thought about making sure that this area is safe, the only way to assure that is to make sure that you have a community of volunteers and people from the community who are prepared and who are knowledgeable in first responding, and to be available for this, and that they need to be trained exceedingly well. I can tell you because I'm a Red Cross disaster chaplain. I spent 3 weeks at Ground Zero. I spent 2 weeks at Katrina. I was out for the floods in Mississippi. I've been out for hurricanes. I could not go to the Woolsey fires, but the fires would not have been as dangerous or as massive if the communities had been prepared. And this is something that we do not take seriously enough. This area here, with all the buildings that you have here, you need to have continuous practices and people who are in charge in knowing how to get out of the building, how to amass them, how to, make sure that everyone is safe, how to prepare. Beach City's Health District, I think, would be a perfect place to start putting together an emergency preparedness course for people on how to get, ready in case there's a fire, or what they're talking about is a massive earthquake. Let me tell you that FEMA is not going to come and help you out, and that it used to be a discussion that you needed to have 3 days worth of provisions. It is now up to 10 days. And I guarantee you, if you look around here, there isn't one person that has 10 days worth of water in their home, ready and available, and 10 days worth of...
I have a month's worth.
Okay, or 10 days worth of food, or concept of how you're going to prepare food, without having electricity. So my suggestion is that whoever, I will direct the executive director to start thinking about it, trying to figure out how we can respond, how you all can be a leader in this process, because you are in a center for doing something like that. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Gila. CEO report.
Okay, I'm going to make it kind of brief. You have my written report is in your packet, but we had a great kickoff just about 2 weeks ago on January 10th. We had a great event up in Manhattan Beach with Partnership for Youth, the Youth Coalition kickoff. That was a follow-up from our summit that we had in the spring. We had 100 community stakeholders and providers present for that, and we are pleased with the momentum that our youth program is gaining, and we'll be back talking to you about that as we head into the future and look at some grant opportunities and some other ideas. So stay tuned. We're going to be coming back to you. That's one of the new health priorities that we're discussing as far as youth issues, and so we'll be back to you on that. The Blue Zones Project, we'd like to welcome our partners from ShareCare. They're here tonight, as I mentioned earlier, as well as several teams from new Blue Zones communities. So they're here doing some training, and we're all learning together, and it's been a great week, and we welcome you all and are glad that you are here. And the Hermosa Beach City Council, they adopted a tobacco retailer's license at one of their meetings a few weeks ago, and so that's a step up for them. That's not something that they had previously done. This is a big win for our community, considering the alarming rates of vaping that we're seeing with the children, and so that is a step that Hermosa did take as it relates to vaping. And then our community services team served more than 220 individual community members in December, including 70 care management visits and 300 volunteer visits to isolated older adults to help them remain living independently and safely in their homes for as long as possible. So that was something that occurred. And then volunteer services, Beach City Health District volunteers delivered holiday cheer to 250 Beach City seniors as part of our annual holiday gift bag drive. So that was something that was done in December. So that's just a quick update. Be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
We have a presentation from Carrie Ann Lawson, Beach City's Partnership for Youth. Does this require us to move?
Yes.
We're going to show a quick video here.
Good evening to the board. Carrie Ann Lawson, Chief Programs Officer for the Beach Cities Health District. As Tom just mentioned, on January 10th, we convened the stakeholder groups we've been working with for the past year in the first ever Beach Cities Partnership for Youth Coalition. That group includes, of 100 people, included 12 sectors across our cities, including students, parents, community health providers, and school and city leadership. We asked people to pledge with us what they could contribute to protecting our youth. We spent a lot of time in breakout sessions. I'm running ahead of my video, but you'll get it. And the next steps for this group, in our breakout sessions, we really asked them to brainstorm with us what a community action plan could look like for our 2019 and then beyond. So our efforts were really in forming this partnership were to try to activate the students and educate parents. We want to expand school programs and services while recognizing that these issues facing our kids are not solely the responsibility of the school district. We convened community partners, including mental health professionals, faith-based communities, some of our business leaders, and really this is a collective impact model in building a coalition and engaging the community at large to go after some of the alarming numbers we're seeing in our community needs assessment. So from our students, we have more than 50 students on our Youth Advisory Council. They've been working really hard with us. When this group went into their focus group, they really talked about how can they lead prevention campaigns, recognizing that if these kids are going to buy in to messages about public health, it has to come from each other. In our parent group, some of you were in that group that afternoon, we've been reaching parents, about 5,000 of them, through the events we've been doing with the Families Connected Speakers series. We've created small group opportunities with parent chat and parent workshops and parent connection groups, and we know there are folks we're not reaching still. So we talked in our focus group, I had the privilege of leading that one, we talked a lot about how do we do a better job of collaborating on the outreach so that we really do have a centralized place where everybody knows what's going on, and how do we create a common language for parents that when we're talking about substances, dabs and waxes and those kinds of things, that people actually know what we're talking about. In our school leadership group, they committed to doing, first of all, I just want to say we had all 3 superintendents that morning. For them to give up their time to be with us is really incredible. And they talked a lot about completing an environmental scan of their social-emotional wellness curriculums across the 3 districts in an effort to streamline and give all the kids the same information. And I think that's really important when you remember that our Hermosa kids split into 2 different high schools. So it is important if we're going to grow resilient kids that there's some alignment in that K through 8 level. In our health provider groups, these folks have been really working hard with us to volunteer. We had several with us this morning at Mind Up Day at Hermosa Valley School, supporting the school-based events, helping us provide actual clinical facilitation to some of these conversations. And they talked a lot about getting out public health messages on community norms, that it's not just that 30% of kids are using X substance, but it's 70% are not. And how do we flip that message? Finally, with our community partners, we did have police in the room. Dr. Kim was there. We had government leaders. We had city council members. And what impressed me about this group is that they made individual pledges to support us. And so they all dug in a different kind of way. This is what I can contribute. Here's what I'll pledge to do. But the idea that we have that level of civic involvement to protect our kids is really impressive. So here's our video. Sorry.
Health District partners with the school districts of Hermosa Beach, Beach, Redondo Beach, and Manhattan Beach to deliver programs and services that improve the well-being of students and families. While we've made great progress in the area of physical health, we are now working on programs to improve social-emotional health and to reduce substance use among our youth.
I believe that each one of our districts is highly concerned about the wellness of our students. We live in a highly stressful, highly competitive, high-achieving community. All of us have talked about how we can really help our students not only achieve, but be healthy in doing so. Beach City's Health District has been a huge part of that effort.
I think that the Redondo Beach Unified School District proudly has been a pursuer of the whole child for a long time. We want our kids to be academically successful and push the cognitive piece of teaching and learning, but we also have been believers and data followers of social emotional well-being.
This is a difficult time to grow up. To have the Beach Cities Health District here have the therapy programs, to have all the programs that kids and parents can be part of is so important because everyone needs some help.
I think this partnership is just a tremendous opportunity because it takes kind of what we've been doing and it brings it all together.
So what we're doing is we're convening 5 groups to address this issue of social emotional health among our youth. So of course it starts with the youth, and so we have the student group, we have service providers in the community, we have the parents, we have school leadership, and then we have community members and businesses and cities that all come together to help us address social emotional health among our youth.
The Youth Advisory Committee has students from every single school, I think, in the South Bay, from County Hermosa and Redondo. I work with a couple of my friends on the Youth Advisory Committee, and we have a really good time like planning all this, and we also know each other a lot better doing it.
For the past 4.5 years, our organization, Behavioral Health Services, has worked closely with the Beach Cities Health District. In our prevention work, we work specifically with all 3 Beach cities, and we do policy work such as trying to educate parents to garner support for the social host ordinance and other policy work here that can prevent young people from getting access to alcohol and drugs.
I work with a lot of adolescents, for the most part kids that are coming out as lesbian, gay, bisexual, or in the midst of a transition. And knowing that the LGBTQ populations have higher rates of anxiety and depression, self-harm, and suicidality. I thought it was important to be vocal about those statistics so that the task force could incorporate those kids into the work that they do.
We offer clinical support, so we provide our clinicians to come in to do the technical support for beach cities in the surrounding community. So we go to task force meetings, any other events that they're holding, whether it's trainings, educational events, any type of partnerships that they need. There's a lot of adults that have been involved in making decisions and talking about things, but I think bringing the actual students and doing that peer-to-peer, talking to one another is something that's really going to bring it closer.
Walking group that was started together with South Bay Families Connected.org and Beach Cities Health District. It started because there was a mom in the advisory group that we have for Beach Cities to go to the parent chats, and it was mostly problems that parents were having with older kids. So we decided to try a different format, and we would go once a month, we do a couple laps around the topic, and then we switch and we make sure everybody gets to speak.
Until you can identify what the needs are, you can't come up with solutions. So by having these conversations, having these task forces, these coalitions, and having the support of Beach Cities Health District to hold these forums, I think that's what's been so exciting to me, and I'm really excited to be a part of it.
The Manhattan Beach Coordinating Council partners with Beach Cities on the Beach Cities Partnership for Youth in some important ways. And what we love at NBCC about partnering with Beach Cities is the emphasis on wellness and well-being and not achievement. One of the things that's really impressed me about the Beach Cities Health District Adolescent Task Force is the fact that they recognize the diversity of the community's needs. Think about it from a family's perspective. A parent that's really in need, they can go right to the website and the resources tab and find professional resources that have been vetted.
Who knows how to deal with these things? To have the help that you all provide is really important for our community.
Join the Beach Cities Partnership for Youth.
We need you. We need you.
We need you.
We need you.
We need you.
So I am tremendously proud of Allie Stewart and her youth services team for this coalition they've pulled together. Allie would be here tonight to tell you about this work herself, except she's up in Sacramento learning about what opportunities they may be at the state level for funding for this kind of work. One of the goals of this kind of a coalition is to position ourselves not only to address and mobilize the community around these topics, but really position ourselves to have an infrastructure that would leverage state, county, or even federal funding. So we'll be coming back to the board talking about those kinds of grant opportunities as they come. Again, our community action plan that will come from this will come back to you as well. We'll be rolling all of this feedback and all of the goals up into a 3-year plan. And then the next coalition meeting of the group will be in August 15th. Location to be announced, but we did book the date because all of these people are very busy. And at this meeting, I believe we're going to talk about the policy issues. So thank you for your time. You don't have to clap for
me. Legal counsel.
There is not a
Thank
report.
you. Sorry. Thank you.
No legal report.
Please forgive me. Activity break. Mindfulness.
Allie's not here.
Allie's not here. She's in Sacramento.
All right, good evening. Tiana Rideout, Community Health Programs Coordinator on the Blue Zones Project for Beach Cities Health District. And we're going to do a 3-minute breathing meditation this evening. So find a relaxed, comfortable position. Keep your back upright but not too tight. Hands resting wherever they're comfortable. You can close your eyes, and if you're feeling a bit sleepy, gently rest your gaze. Let yourself relax, simply resting here. Notice the sensations of your body, the connection with the floor and with the chair. Relax any areas of tightness or tension in your forehead, jaw, shoulders, hands, ankles. Soften and just breathe. And now begin to tune into your breath. Feel the natural flow. Not too long, not too short, just natural. Notice where you feel your breath in your body. Feel the cool air coming in through your nostrils. Then you might feel your breath in your abdomen, chest, or throat. See if you can feel the sensations of breath, one breath at a time. When one breath ends, the next breath begins. Now, as you do this, you might notice that your mind might start to wander. You might start thinking about other things. It's very natural. Just notice that your mind has wandered, and you can say in your head softly, thinking, or wandering. And then gently redirect your attention back to the breathing. See if you can be really kind to yourself in the process. We'll stay with this for some time in silence, noticing our breath. The breath is our anchor. It is where we establish our awareness. It helps us have something to always return to. Once again, notice your body, your whole body resting here. Let yourself relax even more deeply. And then offer yourself some appreciation for doing this practice today. Finding a sense of ease and well-being for yourself and this day. When you're ready, start to wiggle your fingers and toes and gently open your eyes. Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you. Committee reports. Community Health Committee. Bish.
The Community Health Committee did not meet this month. And the next committee meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, February 6th at 6 p.m. at the 1200 Street offices.
Finance Committee Treasurer's Report. Jane.
Monday, February the 4th at 6 o'clock at Delamo, and we'll be talking about the financial ideas with that committee before it comes to the board.
Oh, excellent. Policy Committee. Vish.
Policy Committee has not met. Next scheduled meeting is set for Tuesday, February 12th at 1 o'clock at the Delamo offices.
Properties Committee. Noel.
The Properties Committee met on Wednesday, January 16th at 8 a.m. We discussed the following items on the agenda: the Healthy Living Campus update that you were apprised of today, the Torrance right-of-way update, which is an odd-shaped strip of land that we're trying to acquire from the city of Torrance that boundaries our property. The Measure M fund, which is to be used to rehabilitate the bicycle path, and the 510 Prospect Avenue property update, which is some capital improvements to the Artesia building that we have out there. And then we have a couple of discussion and action items. Leslie, would you like to just outline things for the board to kind of flesh things out?
Yes, Leslie Dickey, Executive Director of Real Estate, Beach Cities. So our first request tonight is a request to award a contract to Ed Almanza and Associates for EI oversight services. The California Environmental Quality Act, or CEQA, is the regulatory collection that describes how an environmental impact report process is carried out. It's a very specialized set of regulations. It's not a generalist sort of expert matter. It's more of an expert matter. We've identified Mr. Ed Almanza, who has carried out a series of environmental impact reports in the South Bay area, as an in-house expert that we could bring in and advise us on the process.
So to be clear, this is not to do the environmental evaluation. It's somebody to basically do opposition research on us before we do it, so that we make sure we have all our ducks in line.
And he would also, the firm would also help us. There are some duties, or there may be some opportunities we could do ahead of a formal EIR that get in process. So you're quite right. Mr. Almanza would not prepare the EIR. We will, once the board approves us to proceed with that, we would bring back a consultant for your approval. So this is really an in-house expert to help us sort of navigate this process.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve to award contract to Ed Almanza and Associates for EIR Oversight Consulting Services on the Healthy Living Campus, 514 North Prospect Avenue, Redondo Beach, in the amount of $115,000.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do I have any public discussion? Any board discussion? Any further board discussion?
Yeah, I have a question. What is the term of this? I didn't see it in the... through it.
That's a good.
Well, it's expected to last about a year, and
So this is the amount of money for the year.
his billing would be on time spent basis, so it's not a lump sum. It would be a series of tasks, and he would work by the hour at a
And this is
rate.
what we anticipate it costing over that entire time.
That's correct.
Okay.
So is that the estimate for full-time for a year? or
Not
is that
full-time.
part-time
It's a
for
consultant.
year?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so we have,
And if a need arises and he does more things and it costs us more, you bring it back. and
We'd have to
you
bring
that
it back and
conversation.
request
so it's up to this
funds.
amount.
Correct.
Correct.
But it might be less, depending.
It could be
upon-
less as well.
And what is the hourly rate?
Oh, gosh, I don't have that
okay.
in front of me. We did include a small contingency. You know, we estimated hours for different tasks. We added a small contingency on top of that. Again, time spent is typical in the professional world of how you would, it's actually the best way for us to purchase these kind of services. If there was a need to increase it, we'd bring it back to the board.
Okay. Okay, any other board questions? Motion and a second. Public has commented, board has commented. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none opposed, so ordered. Unanimous decision. Is this you also?
Yes.
Yes.
The next request to award a contract to Manhattan Realty for real property consulting and appraisal services. We issued a request for qualification, advertised it in a local paper, received 2 responses. We asked that people that responded or companies that respond be members of the Appraisal Institute. That's a professional society of real estate appraisers.
And this has to do with getting appraisals for the land and the property in anticipation of the financing that will have to be done for the Healthy Living Campus.
That's correct. We would also, there may be other services that this consultant could provide. They provide a whole range of real estate consulting services other than appraisals. The amount here is, again, a budget. It would be billed on a time spent basis, or if we have a task that they can provide a lump sum for, we would proceed in that way.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the award contract to Manhattan Realty, Inc. for real property consulting and appraisal services in the amount of $25,000 for the Healthy Living Campus, 514 North
So
Prospect
moved.
Avenue?
Second.
I have a motion from Noel and a second from Michelle. Any public discussion? Any board discussion or questions?
I have one.
Yes.
Just in general, when we have these contracts that, particularly when you start to intervene with these different entities, does legal counsel review our contracts that become a certain number, at a certain percentage or anything? Is there anything written that we have Mr. Lundy or his firm review certain types of contracts where the legalese gets very confusing at times?
Let me try to answer that. We have a series of contracts that were developed that Mr. Lundy reviewed some time ago that are, the basic framework documents.
Our boilerplate.
Our blank contracts, if you will.
Okay.
And we use those when we prepare these types of contracts.
Okay.
So they were previously approved for content, but they're not reviewed individually.
Yeah. Sometimes there are specialized contracts that we will review on a case-by-case basis.
I see. Oh, thank you.
You see there's this graph, like, how much it would cost to review.
Right. Every single contract, right. Okay, so we have a motion second. We've had public discussion and board discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none opposed, so ordered. It passes unanimously. Next item.
The other one was you want to discuss that?
Yeah, so in the budget, we currently have $500,000 of funds that were set aside for potential loans to the PCH property where Leap and Bound is, and to the Artesia property where South Bay Family Healthcare is. And these funds were established so that we could loan money to those two entities, and they could perform really what's sort of what I would call deferred maintenance. And the reason we chose to budget it this way is so we could help the tenants perform the deferred maintenance that is really in their lease. They're supposed to provide it. But if we lend it to them, then we know it's going to get done, and then we earn interest as the monies are paid back. The item tonight is to reallocate the funds that we already have set aside. So we have $500,000 in the budget. We'd like to, for the two properties, we'd like to reallocate that to just the Artesia property. We've met with Leap and Bound, and we haven't been able to make an agreement with them. However, we have met extensively with South Bay Family Healthcare Services, and we developed some interior plans and some exterior plans to improve that building. We've got out and gotten preliminary construction budgets, and if you approve this reallocation, we will further study those contracts, and if there are any contracts that are issued, we bring them back to the board and make you aware of it. The other thing that I want to point out is that as part of this reallocation, $180,000 of the $500,000 would become an investment really that Beach Cities makes in the Artesia property, and that money would go to the exterior of the building to improve the exterior. There's in that whole corridor on Artesia, the city and a lot of the businesses are, it's kind of improving. And so this would be an investment we would make. We would recapture that investment just by the increased property value.
Because basically it's a Class 3 cinder block building, and there is the most cost-effective way to kind of upscale the building is to resheath it, and it's primarily resheathing and awnings and things like that to try and improve the physical appearance of the exterior of the building.
Now, I know there's some funds allocated from the city of Redondo Beach for that Artesia corridor there. Are we able to avail of some of those funds for the exterior work?
Yeah, we have applied for some relief from them. That application's already been submitted. We haven't heard back yet. I believe the amount that we might qualify for is about $10,000.
And what happens if Leap and Bound needs money?
We could bring it back in a future budget year, if that's something we want to look at.
Yeah, because I think originally with the Leap and Bound thing, the issue was the parking lot pavement.
Yeah,
permeable driveway.
Yeah, I know.
It's located in a section where the city is encouraging businesses to have permeable paving, and so that was something that we had offered, was to help them. They have basically a gravel parking lot now. There are some improvements that could be made. It would still be permeable. There's a permeable paving actually that's available now. But they haven't shown interest in following it up, this process. One of their concerns is any work done under this loan would be done at prevailing wages, and that's been something they haven't been interested in pursuing.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. We have another question.
Yeah, I do. Thank you very much. I maybe slightly off topic, but we are looking at $500,000, and it sounds like for the exterior and all of the things that we're going to do. The question I have, and Tom, would be, this is a federally qualified health center, an FQHC, and where will it be appropriate for us to be able to, at some point, understand who is being served how many people are being served. Basically, I think that's important. It's sitting there and what's our hours of operation and those types of things. If we could get that at some future
That's certainly
meeting.
something we can ask them for as a condition of this
Thank you.
loan.
Thank you. Okay.
So it would be a loan then, even the exterior improvements, or?
So the interior improvements, which were estimated at $320,000, would be a loan, and it would be recaptured over an extended lease term.
And then the 180K exterior
is the exterior.
ours.
Would be an investment that we would make. I do want to clarify that the $500,000 is already in the budget, but we're asking to reallocate it.
Right, and the 500K was not allocated for a loan, whereas now 320K is allocated for a loan,
Correct.
and the 180 would be an expenditure.
Correct.
Right, investment, yeah.
And also that it was allocated for both, and now it's only going to one.
Correct.
Okay, so we're making two changes in it. Do we need to make the wording more specific in terms of the loan versus the?
Yes, what I would do is the recommendation language, which is on the memo, and then add to it the last paragraph of the background section. The last paragraph is the one that specifies that $180,000 goes to the exterior of the building at Artesia. The other $320,000 is a loan to the South Bay Family Health Care Center for the interior renovations.
So who
So
made
it's
the?
kind of a long motion, but it would include that entire last paragraph in the background.
So we have a motion and then an amendment to the motion. Does the person who made the motion accept the amendment to the motion?
I do.
And the person who made the second accepts the amendment to the motion. So, Charlie, if you're confused about what the actual motion is now, you got it, okay.
You got it, okay.
He wrote it.
He wrote it? He wrote it? He wrote it. He typed it anyway. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. It's been amended. Does the public have any comment on that? It's now a slightly different motion with some additional language in it. Does the board have any further comment?
I will make a comment. I live in that area, so, and that building is quite an eyesore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's fix that up. Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none opposed, the motion passes unanimously. Ad hoc Mind Health Committee, Dr. Noel Chun.
The Ad hoc Mind Health Committee met on Tuesday, January 15th at 7 a.m. Took one for the district there. The following items were discussed. The status of the Institutional Review Board application for the study protocol. The Loma Linda requested some changes in the protocol, and so they're trying to hammer that out, the Schurzeyes. If they're unable to do that, then they'll go with an outside IRB approval, but they anticipate they'll probably be able to sort that within the next month. The committee also discussed plans for an initial paper regarding protocol and study design. That means for the dementia study to actually write a paper about how we're planning to do the study. And we might do that also. And then finally, we discussed the possibilities for translating the Mind Health study into a community implementation program. And then we digressed on to, how this would be really just be the start of many different sort of projects that we could get involved in.
Yes.
But, we have a contract with the Schurzeyes and we have deliverables. So we're trying to focus on actually moving things forward
Fantastic.
in that direction first before we embark on a lot of other projects. But very encouraging. I think it's really an exciting thing.
Excellent. Jane, strategic planning.
Strategic plan, we'll be working on a new meeting, but on December the 7th, we had a wonderful strategic plan at the Moss Center. Carrie Ann Lawson, Chief Programs Officer, provided an overview of the district's health priority snapshot. The proposed new health priorities for 2019-2022 will be going to the Community Health Committee for review and recommendations before going to the Board of Directors for review and approval. Then Tom Backley, the CEO, addresses the alignment of the district health priorities, key focus areas, and district-wide capacity. The topics of the breakout session was a discussion around Beach Cities Health District as a center of excellence, as an organizational standard. Participants reviewed and discussed the common elements of the Center of Excellence, which were most important or priorities for BCHD. Had anything been missed in prior study groups, additional opportunities for improvement, and how they could be achieved. In the breakout sessions, we used our wonderful new clickers, which were a big hit for everybody to take information and digest it all in a very quick fashion. And we'll be working then towards our next strategic plan.
Okay. Now, we're taking the consent items. Do I need to read all of them?
No, you just do it by reference.
Okay,
In a
so-
single motion.
I need a single motion to approve all 3 consent items on the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Noel and Jane, first and second. Do we have any public discussion? Any board discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none opposed, so ordered. Passes unanimously. Any old business? New business. Discussion and potential action item. Approve resolution number 548. Resolution of the Board of Directors of the Beach Cities Health District supporting application and agreeing to matching funds from Measure M, South Bay Multi-Year Sub-Regional Program Funds. And this is for the bike path?
Yes.
Correct. Jacqueline's going to give a quick overview.
Good evening, Jacqueline Stein, Senior Policy Analyst with Beach Cities Health District. So yes, before you is a resolution to support our application for Measure M funding. Measure M funding is a half-cent sales tax that was passed by the voters in 2016 to go for infrastructure projects. And we learned that as a public agency in a local jurisdiction, we were eligible to apply for funding. So we did last week for the bike path project. Some of the details of which you saw at tonight's study session. That amount, we costed it out to be an estimated $1.8 million, which we applied for. Part of the application is the board approving a resolution that, one, says that you support the project, two, understanding that if we were to be awarded this funding, we would enter into a funding agreement with Metro. And if that were to happen, we would bring that funding agreement to the board for consideration and approval at that time. In addition, something that makes our application a little more competitive against the other applicants is being able to provide a local match for our project. The South Bay COG suggested 10%. And so in that resolution, you'll also see that we have said that we are able to provide a 10% local match for the grant funding that we applied for. At $1.8 million, that's about $180,000. Checking with Monica, she says that we have enough in the capital expenditure budget for the Healthy Living Campus that would be adequate to cover those expenses. And that is it. It went to Properties Committee, and we brought this to them, and they got to see it. So that's all.
I'd just like to say that this is exactly the kind of grant funding that I'd like to see us going after, that we are the only people who can do stuff like this. We're competing with cities and we're competing with other municipalities, but we're not taking money away from local nonprofits, which is always what I don't want to do. So I'm really, really excited to see this, and excited to see that this is something that will happen if we're funded, no matter what happens with the campus, correct?
And we wanted to sort of lead with this community benefit, obviously being sensitive to some of the neighbor concerns we heard tonight. We would obviously go through that whole process. This is just the beginning of the application. You all would have to actually accept the grant, and then, so that much more details to come, but we think this
And we're
makes
also
us more competitive.
In partnership with the City of Torrance on this?
We're in discussions with Torrance, but that's separate than this.
It is, okay. I think it's wonderful.
Jacqueline, what is tell me a little bit about the bike, the whole length of the bike path that this 1.8 million would cover. Is it just the section?
Not very long.
Yeah, is it just that section?
It's
the campus, or is it longer?
Please correct me if I'm wrong, Leslie. It's the back alley in Flagler Lane, and also the part on from Barrel to that curve in Torrance. So it would be protected cycle track, it'd be a protected bike path in that alleyway, and then on the east side of Flagler, there would be a cycle track that would go from the end of that alley to Barrel. And in addition, the funding covers sidewalks, median island for protection at that curve at Towers, new crosswalk, and lighting as well.
And also like an obstacle there where the 90-degree bend is that would improve what they have right now, which is just basically a bunch of posts in the ground.
Yeah, it would remove that barrier and have that connectivity from the west side sidewalk to that kind of alleyway.
To improve the safety.
Much.
Awesome. Okay, so do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Jane and Michelle?
I do have a couple comments. I'm assuming that the purpose of this is primarily to support the wellness programs of the district, because the bike path is encouraging active transportation, which improves health. And that's important in terms of having a legal basis for the expenditure, because 10% of the expenditure would come from district funds. And so I would like to suggest that there be an additional sentence added to the resolution to make that clear, to give the legal support under the statutes. The statutes do allow the district to expend money for wellness and prevention programs.
Okay.
I think this fits within that, as long as that is the purpose of the district. So the language would be added on the first page of the resolution after the whereas that says, whereas Beach Cities Health District wishes to be the lead agency for the implementation of a bike path project, et cetera. And we would add, whereas the bike path project will be an integral component of BCHD's Healthy Living Campus and the wellness and prevention programs, and is necessary for the maintenance of good physical and mental health in the community.
Nice.
That's added. And that's from the language of the statute, which
Lovely.
I think is consistent with what the intent is of the district.
Okay.
Okay.
So we have a motion and a second. We have, do we have any public discussion?
Yes, a question. Was it just a misapprehension when someone objected to that improvement of the bike path? You thought it was going to be a major thoroughfare or something?
That's what it sounded like.
Yeah, he thought it was going to be a road, and it's
But we'll follow through with that and make sure that,
We will, and
and I saw you talking to them, so.
yes, so we'll follow through with that, and this is simply an application for the funds. We're going to have to get into a lot more detail before you, if it's awarded, before you would accept this.
This is just an application, this is just to support the application.
Right, because they require board support for the application.
Correct.
So that's what it is. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Do we have any other public discussion?
I can't believe it costs $1.5 million.
That's what I was going to say. My
But
comment is
prevailing wages.
Yeah, you know.
Well, and you also
it
have
seems
lights.
a few
Lights are
hundred-
gonna
A few
cost
hundred
you.
feet of bike path for $1.8 million seems, it doesn't add up.
Better be
for
very
me.
pretty.
So I want to make sure that when we, as we submit the grant and we go through the process, we're very clear about what we're asking for, because it does, we need more bike paths in our community, that's for sure. And if this is the cost of a short bike path, it may put off other projects for building bike paths.
Well, I mean, we want more bike paths, but we don't want to pay for it.
Right.
So it's just if there's a more cost-efficient way to build a bike path for less money, we could be a trendsetter for the entire community of building more bike paths. But if we were spending, $1.8 million for a short length of bike path, what message does that send to anybody else wanting to build bike paths in the three cities?
You think that's a lot of money? You should see how much a mile of freeway costs. It's like $1 billion a mile.
Okay, so I'm going to,
Leslie.
There's already existing concrete, that's...
Leslie, want to add something here?
Yeah, I just want to clarify. So the 1.8 million is what we call hard and soft costs. So it's the construction money plus we have to hire a civil engineer, an architect to design it. We have to get permits through 2 cities, Redondo and Torrance. We have to pay for any inspections, testing.
Landscaping.
It's not just a bike path, so it's certainly a bike path is what we're going to end up with, but there's there's a barricade that's going to be removed and replaced with new concrete gutters and curb and gutter and sidewalks. The electric lighting will be quite expensive. There's going to be, additional lights added, and the whole technology of street lighting has changed since the lights that are there were installed. So it's a more complicated project than you might think. It's not just the bike path. It's a whole series of construction issues that are part of that. But the other thing I would say is, we would be spending these monies assuming the Healthy Living Campus goes ahead. So to whatever extent we do get these funds, it just helps offset the ultimate cost of the Healthy Living Campus.
If there's, I'm just, throwing the idea out there, there's any way to offload some of the gutter and, other work to the cities themselves, if they have some of that responsibility, can we take some of this grant funding and have a longer bike path into sort of that loop idea, if we can contribute towards that overall loop idea of connecting the broader community, so the funds that we use for bike path specifically, and we offload some of the auxiliary things to, hopefully the city says, hey, you guys are putting a bike path in, we'll put in money for the gutters and barricades, because that's a, public safety.
I think there'll be an opportunity in the future to possibly extend it. The application, as we've written it, is from barrel to diamond, so we would need to stay in those parameters. It's difficult to say today when it hasn't been designed what the cost is going to be. So you have to include contingencies and things, and possible escalation. And as I say, it includes the design, the inspections, the permits, all of that. So, and if there is a desire in the future to extend it north, say, we could probably go back at a future time and do another request.
And I also say with Measure M funding that what was passed in 2016, as opposed to Measure R, this money doesn't sunset. And so right now they're doing a 5-year sub-regional program where they're trying to outline all the projects they have for the first 5 years. But after that, there's going to be continued funding that is available for the regional area that we can continue to apply for, as well as the other cities.
Great.
And I think one of the nice things, like Tom was mentioning, if we start doing things that show goodwill in the community and show how successful we can be and how we think of safety and the looks of it, and really, instead of even going to the cities and ask, because we're going to have to, in the end of the day, have the city help us do things for voting to approve this, the more we can do to help the city so they see that we are a true asset to them, we're going to garner much. If we're talking about marketing and other things, it's going to, in the end, help us a lot more above the cost of the project.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jane. And on the flip side, to the people who are granting the grant, that we would show that we're an efficient user of the
And
funds,
then in 5 years, we might get some more.
We get more funding.
Oh, yeah. Fantastic, yeah. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. We have had public input. We've had board input. Any further input? And we have made a change to the resolution. We have the wording on hand. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, so ordered. Passes unanimously. Board member reports. Vish.
So we didn't have a board meeting in December, so we had a couple of months to cover here. And one of the things was I met with Tom twice. We had 2 one-on-one meetings.
Yes.
And in one of them, obviously reviewed the plan here, but also got to meet Ed Almanza and asked him a few questions. And
oh, nice.
I was very, very confident with the responses he gave me on his competency to be a project manager for our ER project. I attended the Strategic Development Half Day. I also attended the Youth Coalition kickoff, the substance abuse meeting kickoff. That was really well done, really great participation, great community involvement. I also, at that meeting, got a slide that showed along the rows different substance use policies in our communities. And then across the top there was Redondo Beach, Hermosa Beach, and Manhattan Beach. And Manhattan Beach and Hermosa Beach had check marks against all of the line items, and Redondo Beach was completely blank. There's nothing.
Wow.
And it shocked me. That one piece of paper just sort of stopped me in my tracks. And I thought, why is it Redondo Beach and of course, there's lots of politics, there's lots of discussions, lots of reasons, there's timing, things going on. But definitely, it seemed from that one page that Manhattan Beach and Hermosa Beach had taken very proactive steps to curbing substance abuse amongst youth from a policy perspective. And so I called up Councilman Todd Lowenstein, and I said, hey, what gives here, and can I send you the slide? So I sent him the slide, and Redondo Beach is working on a lot of policy. They are thinking about it, but I wanted them to understand that, look, out of the 3 beach cities, Redondo Beach it's quite
A lot of room for
stark.
growth.
Well,
Yeah, it's
do
quite
you
stark.
remember they had a policy and they voted it down?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
recently. So it has been there.
So
It was.
This is a
There was like 7 or 8
item
different
not on the
policies.
agenda.
Yeah.
But maybe when we have a report about this coalition and what's happening with the coalition, this is something that we could have included in the report,
Sure.
what's happening with the different cities.
Yeah. But there are 7 or 8 policy items that the other cities have adopted that Redondo Beach hadn't, and me being a Redondo Beach resident and also on the board of the health district, I thought it was important for us to start start actively trying to get the 3 cities to be in lockstep when it comes to
Excellent.
this. And
Anything
then
else?
I attended the share care meeting today, which was very interesting just to see the process and some new share care people who are getting trained up. And we had quite a few of our committee members talking about their experiences and challenges on the committee. It's quite an interesting look into things. And also today, my daughter, who had to head home for bed, but
I
she
saw them.
received her BCHD Wellness Awards. I was really proud. I stood up in front of the school and had a little BCHD logo. I was like, oh, it's quite exciting. She was very proud. And all the students who received the Wellness Awards, they were very proud of receiving it. So it's definitely a great way that, again, how we're integrated in the fabric of the schools. It was wonderful to see. That's my report.
Excellent. All right. So 2 meetings with Tom, strategic planning, ACHD, executive board. Right now, I know you're going to be going tomorrow. I unfortunately won't be going to the leadership conference, but will be attending their ACHD March strategic planning. And with the American Heart Association, I'm really pleased to be working and getting young doctors involved with some of the very important new guidelines. And it just made me think about how important it will be to have a partner like AHA in the future with our research and our hub that's going on. And then finally, it was very nice to see Vanessa and her dad and to watch you get at the Hermosa Chamber. So congratulations. That was a very nice event.
Noel?
Okay, well, my 2 meetings with Tom, we did properties, the ad hoc mind, and did we have a finance committee meeting?
No, we
didn't.
We did strategic plan.
No, we did the strategic planning meeting, yeah.
Jane?
Strategic plan, roundtable, meetings with Tom, and property meetings.
Actually, I went to the roundtable, too.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, I did.
Yes, you
Did
did.
the kids sing?
They did.
Yes,
Charming.
they did. Yes,
Missed.
they did. It's always a fun one because of that.
Yeah. So I attended the Hermosa Beach Man and Woman of the Year Awards with my dad and saw Tom and Michelle there. It was a really fun evening. And it was really great to be networking with the Hermosa people. I also met with Tom twice, attended the strategic planning meeting and an ACHD governance committee meeting, and I'm still participating in the Redondo Beach leadership meetings as well. Any further announcements, questions, or referrals to staff? Okay, I am adjourning this meeting, but we're not leaving because we are going to immediately reconvene for another meeting. I announce this meeting adjourned, and now I call to order Prospect One Corporation meeting. Is there any public discussion for items not on the agenda for the Prospect One Corporation meeting? No. Election of officers. Can we motion to elect the same slate of
You
officers?
can do it that way, yes.
Okay, so do I have a motion to elect the same slate of officers?
So moved.
We have a
Second.
motion and a second. Any public discussion? Any board discussion?
Can you state who the officers are?
I will be president, Michelle is president pro tem, and you are the treasurer. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none so ordered, we unanimously elected officers. Is there a staff report? Yes. From Monica. How much money we got?
We have some. Nothing has changed, so it's the same as it was last year. But good evening, Monica Sua, Chief Financial Officer of Beach Cities Health District, and that's also Prospect One Corporation. Prospect One Corporation is a separate legal entity, 501c4 entity. While it is separate, it is fully consolidated into the Beach Cities Health District financial statements. And they were audited this year at the same time by Davis Farr. That Beach Cities Health District entity was audited, and there were no findings and no internal controls errors detected. That's the report for Prospect One. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
I don't see any questions. Any old business? Any new business? And now we are for real adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Okay.